Hold on, I need to drink a coffee before you start.
That's a great idea. I'm going to do that, Joe.
Sarah wouldn't let me have breakfast either. All right.
Well, have fun.
All right,
Okay, good morning. We are here on Friday morning at the State House to give you another weekly update on how we're doing on our climate action bills. We have had a steady week. I think lots of committees are deep into their work. In particular, we've got House Energy and Technology deep in their work on Global Warming Solutions Act. They're also getting a lot of input from the House Judiciary Committee because, of course, the hot button part of the bill is the right of action, so the ability of Vermonters to hold their government accountable if we create a plan that doesn't actually reduce our emissions. So the Judiciary Committee is weighing in on that.
That's great. Does the bill go there? Sometimes this is sort of a boring process, but the bill goes through committees, and so each one becomes a bit of a stumbling block, maybe, or not. But I don't think it's actually going to stay in Judiciary,
I think what they've done is asked Judiciary to weigh in on that one legal part of the bill, because the rest of it is really about how do you structure a climate council that will come together and create the plan, and that's really Energy and Technology's bailiwick. Doing a great job of taking a lot of testimony and helping folks understand how it's working. And when Energy and Technology votes it out, either today or early next week.
Really? That's great.
Yeah, as soon as today. It will head to the Appropriations Committee because, of course, it is going to take a few positions in state government to support the work of this council. Very important work that they're going to be doing in helping all agencies of government figure out how to help Vermonters switch over to renewable energy.
So this is a great time for people to reach out to legislators, particularly in the House, but it never hurts to reach people over in the Senate and start that dialogue and really urge them to support Global Warming Solutions Act.
Yeah, I can't tell you how important that is because, the governor's been pretty cool to this whole idea. He thinks that it's not urgent that we have requirements. He doesn't think we should hold ourselves accountable.
It's interesting because he did come out quickly when Trump signaled he was withdrawing from Paris.
Right.
And this bill takes the Paris goals and puts them into law.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, well, so he sort of means it or he doesn't. We'll see. But we have a long way to go before the governor weighs in. So,
and remember, this bill was introduced in the House with 87 co-sponsors, and 100 is the magic number if the governor were to object. So we really need your help in reaching all corners of the state and all members of the House and Senate to support this bill.
One of the things we've talked about this, right? This sets targets for emission reductions and a panel to help develop strategies, and really this bill gets all of state government pulling in the same direction. But one thing that's occurred to me in the last week that I think is worth sharing is when we have this plan, when this what do we call it? A committee, council comes together, they come up with a plan. They're building on work we've done around the comprehensive energy plan. We have a less formalized plan around weatherizing homes. It's just snugging those things together and much more, obviously. But we will come out with a list of projects. We will then have to figure out which ones we can take on, or the council will prioritize them. Eventually, the federal government is going to be a partner in whether it's next year under new president or in 4 or 5 years, whatever.
Heaven forbid.
Somewhere along the line, somebody is going to.
The federal government's going to wake up.
Yeah, they really are.
Follow the science.
Otherwise we're really in trouble. But when that happens, they're going to look at states, and this happens all the time. And they say, well, we want to invest in infrastructure. States, here's some money. You do this. Mm-hmm. So when they come to that point in the climate battle, we're going to have a great list of projects on the docket.
We're going to be poised and ready to go.
When Obama did this in the stimulus era, when the economy was tanking, it was shovel ready. Do people remember that headline?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So these are going to be shovel ready projects in that vernacular. And it's going to position us well. It's frankly something we're really wise to be ready for, even though the reason for this is not waiting for the federal government, but our own action. anyway, I think that's sort of to the people who are uncomfortable and are maybe think Vermont should not go as fast. This is really also just an important planning process and accountability. I mean, the people of Vermont are fed up with us twiddling our thumbs in that sense.
Sort of empty promises of we're going to meet Paris without actually doing anything. So you have a couple other bills on the move on the Senate side?
Over on the Senate side, we've talked about upgrading Efficiency Vermont or transitioning Efficiency Vermont. There are efficiency utility. They do great work in the electric sphere. We've limited them. Efficiency Vermont, you have a lot of expertise. We need efficiency. You can only work on electricity. That's what we have said. And I'm laughing because they've been amazing. And when 20 years ago, this made a lot of sense. Now what we're trying to do, and we started a process last year, is get them and that homegrown expertise to be able to help us with fossil fuels. And so a transition sort of study, we asked the Public Utility Commission last year, figure this out over the next year and a half. We're now 8 months into that dialogue, and S337 has come out of the Senate Natural Resources Committee, and we're a little trapped because we set up a kind of a 2-year process with the regulator.
So you can only take
now
a
we're
small
like,
step.
come on, let's go. And Efficiency Vermont, the Utility Commission issued an interim report, said, we need to do this. So we're trying to honor the process that we created and that everybody agreed to, and also kind of see if we can accelerate it. And so that's what S337 does. That's going to be in my committee now, even today.
We've got the brakes and the gas at the same time.
Yeah. You can't drive it both. It's not smart. And so we're juggling with that. Efficiency Vermont's proven to be a good partner, a lot of knowledge to help us move off of fossil fuels. And I'm happy to see that bill moving. It's out of its first committee. I'm hoping we can really kick the tires in that sense and see if we're going as fast as we can. Mm-hmm. The Renewable Energy Standard Bill 2, also that's in my committee. So S267, this is getting our utilities to 100% renewable and mandating that 20% of their load could be generated from in-state renewable. That got stymied this week by the snowstorm.
Oh no.
So later today, Friday, we were expecting utilities to come in. And last week we had solar interests, broadly speaking, I would say, and energy experts telling us why this was a good thing, telling us why other states have done this, and moving in that direction and how it's possible in Vermont. The utilities, our expectation is, they're fine with 100%. They most of them have told me that offline. Yeah. They're worried about this 20% in-state. Mm-hmm. We say it's jobs. They'll say, well, it could impact rates. Mm-hmm. One of the interesting things is that both are true. Right. It will definitely create jobs. That's not debatable. How it impacts rates, of course, the legislature is going to watch very closely. Yeah. And if it's true, if we just said, you have to take any solar that's put out there, and that could impact rates. What we're also trying to explore a little bit is, there are places where it wouldn't impact rates. It would be beneficial to rates if we put solar in certain places. We've not done this well as a state. Yeah. We recognize that if we could put a solar array here next to the State House, that makes a lot of sense because you want to have it close to the people that are drawing down the energy. But we have not yet really come up with a system in the state to say, we really need production in Bennington County. Yeah. We haven't sort of looked at the regional grid that way.
So is that because we have 14 different utilities around the state, or is that because within the utility they're not kind of thinking strategically about where to?
I don't know enough about the history. Yeah, I think that people have had this conversation. This come up to me with me and my commute. And it is tricky. There's several utilities. Also, we have a bit of an ethic of trying to democratize this so that we do create more jobs. We don't want just the utilities to build their own arrays and kind of hold that as a profit center. Yeah. We'd much rather spread that around. We had a presentation from a guy who installed a solar array in a farm field. Mm-hmm. The farmer gets 10% of the money generated there. Nice. And on and on and on. There are broader impacts. So I don't know. It's good. I'm really looking forward to it. We don't have a great update because the snow canceled that for this week, but we're continuing to push there.
Last one.
S273. Sorry, these are all Senate bills, but this one we haven't talked about. It's not a banner bill for the Climate Solutions Caucus, but it is something we put in the all committee bills, every committee project, where we're trying to ask every committee to pitch in. This is about stimulating local food into our schools. And what New York and Michigan and others have done is say, if you're getting, let's say, 25% of your food locally, we're going to give you a quarter, 25 cents per lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Now, schools pay about $1.25 per lunch. Mm-hmm. So adding a quarter is a huge deal.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you run into is the infrastructure for getting local foods to local schools. I don't understand why it's so hard, but it is hard. Mm-hmm. And my committee, I'm on Senate Ag, we've wrestled with this and try to think, like, could we figure out the distributors? Is it food hubs? Mm-hmm. There's a food truck.
Right.
This just says, you know what, we're just going to incentivize other people to figure that out. Right. And that's been somewhat successful in New York and Michigan. We're learning from them.
Does your plan also include like hospitals and correctional facilities and things
signals
like that?
Institutions? Thank you. Yeah, so prisons is another obvious one. And it doesn't say thou shalt put local food in prisons. We have tried that. That is a goal that we have in statute already. But what it starts to do is say, you're going to measure what you've got. You know, we've got to have a baseline in a sense. Now, by the way, the same infrastructure that's disorganized in getting local food to schools, local schools, when that is built up, can also help deliver it to prisons, right? Yeah. These are, you know, I think of the number 10 cans, right? With the big, we're sort of asking these professionals that work in our schools and in prisons to move away from that. And get out a chopping block and a knife and cut up some vegetables.
Some fresh vegetables,
and in a prison, you got to deal with that. Okay, well, we can't have huge kitchen knives just willy-nilly, right? So there's it's more complicated than that. So, but I'm really excited about that. Senate Ag is very interested. We're digging in and trying to figure out just exactly what we do.
Excellent. I appreciate that you're working on that.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's not really big and glamorous, but that it does stimulate our local food economy, and that's important.
Well, and we've done a lot with farm to school. There are pockets around the state that are doing this great. The kids have a garden. They learn math skills as they're weeding. I mean, it's really cool to see how the sort of curriculum around local food and then eating local food fits together. And what they tell you, it's interesting, is I'm sort of interested in getting local food into schools for the economic stuff. But the folks who've been involved will say, you got to have the curriculum so that the kids are willing to try these exotic, different kinds of foods. They're like, where's my French fries?
To eat a rutabaga.
But not only that, but Sodexo, who runs UVM's food, they have a pledge of 20% local. They're one of the highest for an in-state university. And they say the kids that are driving that have come up through Vermont, through farm to school schools. They're like, where's my rutabaga?
Why don't I have a fried rutabaga?
So it's been successful. We're trying to spread it more broadly. And every dollar you invest in local ag, you're getting about $1.60 back in economic activity. So it's a really smart investment for us and for the rural economy.
So we've got some good news and bad news from the news highlights for the week. Do you want to start with the good or the bad?
I want you to go. You go. Right, I've been blabbing on.
All right, I'm gonna pick the bad news. Quiet little news blip that came out this week that the United States Navy is shutting down its task force on climate change, and that is probably a result of the climate denial coming out of the White House. But it is a sad story nonetheless that we are no longer planning for and adapting to sea level rise in our United States Navy. So we certainly know that there's lots of cities up and down the coasts that are very concerned about climate change and rising sea levels and storm surge and all of that. They will continue to work on that, I'm sure, but really frustrating. Elections have consequences, so let's get out there and vote.
And a lot of the upheaval you see around the world with refugees fleeing, even terrorist cells, really comes back many cases to climate change, to water, and lack of drinking water, safe drinking water,
Yeah.
arid land, all across the world. Actually, it's one
Climate,
of the
water,
common
food
dynamics.
insecurity is, it's going to impact a lot of populations, and we need to be aware of
Very
that and be
frustrating.
prepared for that.
Some good news. Give us some good news.
Okay, good news. Let's see. Scotland.
Yeah.
Scotland, some good news in Scotland. They are on track to 100% renewable,
Yep.
Which is fabulous, showing the way for the rest of us who haven't quite figured out how to stake that claim yet. And they're not they're not a tropical island, so
Well, they are an island. Or
they're
part
not
of
a
an
tropical island. And so they're northern climate just like we are, and if they can figure out how to do it and still have a working landscape that sustains their population, I think we can too.
Maybe another week we'll try to get you a catalog or a list of all the jurisdictions. There's lots of them going 100% renewable, because we feel isolated and it feels depressing often in the climate discussion.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot happening. Even in Vermont, we haven't done a great job covering all. We're all frustrated, and for the last decade we've been doing stuff.
Yeah, we should actually try to take that off next week, and maybe take a moment to celebrate some of our past little victories.
Yeah. Harvard. Tell us what happened to Harvard.
Yeah. Harvard, they decided that divestment from fossil fuels was a good idea.
The faculty, those rabid people that know nothing about the economy. Wait a minute.
They decided that fossil fuels were not a good investment, and they have voted strongly, overwhelmingly, I think was the word that was used, to divest. That's a conversation that we've been having a lot here in Vermont, and I think we will probably continue to have.
And then they joined, again, other countries. Ireland's divested. The University of California college retirement systems for their faculty divested. A lot of Catholic Church. I mean, my favorite is the Rockefeller Foundation. The very people that made their money from oil, they're out.
Smart. First in, first out, right?
Maybe that's they see the trend.
Yeah.
That's kind of it, right?
Yeah, that's
People,
the highlights
please
for the
reach
week.
out to legislators.
Oh, hey, you know what? I really
And the
appreciated that we're going to do a full call to action, but hold on. First, I want to say thank you to folks out there who are listening and sending in their ideas and questions, because you can contact us by email. We have a plan in place. We've got folks in every single committee of jurisdiction. So if you have an idea in the education realm, if you have an idea in transportation, in food, send your ideas along, because we would love to try to get them, put into the mix. It's not too late to get started on another little idea. So
good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good
now,
reminder.
The other call to action.
Go.
Okay. So we need you to reach out to the governor. He needs to know that climate is important to Vermonters. He needs to know that the plans that we are moving forward with are reasonable and foundational to the future change that we need to make here in Vermont. So please reach out to the governor, and also give lots of love to your House and Senate members so that they will support some of these bills that we've been talking about.
Go get them.
Have a good week.
Thanks, Bob. Oh, thanks to Bob.
Damn it. Bob the green guy.
Put Bob at the bottom.
Call to action. Love, Bob.